behavior. I'm getting my grind on. I'm getting, you know what I mean? That the Dukes are coming up, you know what I mean? And I need to open my hands and embrace the day rather than assault it, which is my nature, to attack. That's how I was raised. You get up out of bed, you best be ready to fight. Because the old man's out there, right? And there's only 2 ways to breakfast. He's going to be on one of them. Some days you're lucky, some days you're not. But you got to be ready to go, right? That was how I learned. Same thing with boarding school. Same thing when I got out. Same thing when I was doing the things that I was doing when I was not, shall we say, a member of constructive society, right? When I was living, off the grid, when I was underground, doing the stuff that we used to do back in the 60s and 70s. Now I don't live like that. And step 11, to seek through prayer and meditation. By the way, those prayers, now the Serenity Prayer is my main prayer. That's my favorite prayer. I wake up with that prayer all the time, right? God grant me the serenity. And I don't say those things so that God hears them. I'm pretty sure God's heard it. I say them because I need to hear it. I say those words so that I'm acknowledging these are the guidelines I want to place before me this is my lane. The lane that is outlined by the Serenity Prayer. And I want to stay in this lane to the best of my ability today. In that lane. That's where I want to stay. So I start out with and end with the Serenity Prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I'm not fighting with, losing battles just for the sake of having said I fought them, right? God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change. Courage to change the things I can. Me, my behavior, how I function, all right? And the wisdom to know the difference. To be able to know when it's time to step up to it and when it's time to step off. And when you're no longer invested in, I'm a man if I win and I'm not if I don't, and all those other things that I used to associate with winning or victory or overcoming or battling or achieving, all that. When I put all that to the side and allowed myself to be a human being moving through life, when I'm the water over the rock, right? When I'm just here to chop the wood and carry the water, when I'm one among many, when I'm just a servant of the program, when I become those things, that becomes an effortless way to live. It works much better for me. I thought I was going to make my living because I'm real smart and I work hard and I get up before, you know what I mean? And I go. I made, my financial success has been the direct result of my sitting down and just saying, how can I expand the level of service that exists in my life? It was the answering of that question that led me to the things that have created the career for me that has been the most financially successful stuff I've ever done. Began with that question. How do I expand the level of service in my life? And then I found myself at a dinner with a bunch of guys who were ran the National Association of Drug Court Professionals. They oversaw 3,300 drug courts across the United States. And there were a bunch of judges in Superior Court. There were just all kinds of like crazy people sitting at this table. They were all talking about addiction. And I was sitting with this one person who was just smiling because he knew I wasn't going to be able to keep my trap shut because they were just talking crap, right? Obviously knew nothing about the front lines, how this thing really works. And I just sat there thinking, I'm just eating my fish. And my friend's looking at me going, look at him, he thinks he's eating his fish. I'm just getting redder and redder and redder. And finally I couldn't take it anymore. And I said, apparently somebody, or what, you need to go to the bathroom? I said, no, I want to contribute to this conversation. He said, please do. And I said, look, all due respect. And I went off, right? When I was done, they looked at me and they said, he needs to be on the board of drug court. He knows more about this than any of us sitting at this table. He's been on the front lines of this for a long time. We need him on the board. And it was Superior Court justices, Attorney General, and me. 22 of them and me. 23 of us on this board. And I was 2 terms on that board, and it led to all kinds of other stuff. And, and it was just me wanting to be of service. And he's like, no, you guys, okay, so if you're going to, what we ended up is we went We increased the budget dramatically, right? When they were slashing budgets, we got it up to $100 million a year. And the last year I was there, we took 145,000 nonviolent drug offenders and got them out of jail and got them into treatment in 1 year. 145,000 people, and that was expanding service. You know what I mean? And my whole deal with them is, I said, I'll get in with you, but when we say treatment, we're talking about 12-step, right? We're talking about getting people into the A&A, right? We're not talking about loading them up on Suboxone and telling them they're fine. We're talking about A&A, right? And they went, if you say so, we are. I said, I say so. So they said, okay. Join the board and we'll make sure it's all 12-step. And I said, great. So I did that for 6 years. And that was not going to be possible. That wasn't in the plan. I had no intention of doing any of that. But there it was, and I spoke up when I felt like I needed to speak up for us because they were about to do crazy shit. Anyway, that's what prayer's done for me, is that's how it manifests, is it makes you open to what's coming. You can see it for what it is, because I'm not locked into, well, no, that's not in the plan, or no, that isn't what, that's not that won't get me where I think this will get me. And it's like, no. Like my sponsor told me, when a door opens, walk through it. I'm not going to be willing to do that if I'm not centered up by that serenity prayer or by getting up and saying whatever and going to bed and saying enough. All right? That sound like a good 11 step? Am I covering the bases? Huh? Are you all just meat drugged? Is your lack of enthusiasm the result of prime rib? Okay. It's good? Keep going? All right. Knuckles says continue. All right. Get to that foot rub, right? I'm listening. All right. So step 12. Remember, it's a triangle with a circle. Ancient spiritual symbol. Mind, body, and spirit brought together as the whole human being. Therein lies the balance that I seek and I can't find drunk or sober. Right? AA adopted that symbol, and it's unity, service, and recovery. Unity's the body. I bring it here. I can't get sober, but we seem to be able to. Right? First word in the steps is we. That this is about the community. I have to be a part of this community. Recoveries of the mind, the greater aspect of the steps, right? The obsession of the mind. I have to be relieved of the obsession of the mind, or I can't get comfortable sober. I can stop, but I can't stay stopped. And if I'm not mistaken, this is about staying stopped. How do I stay stopped? And the only way I stay stopped is if I get comfortable sober. I got to get comfortable in this. I got to get a sobriety groove going that feels good. I want to keep coming back. And that's that rare moment that we all experience where we're going to meetings because we got no place else to go. We're going to meetings because if we don't, they're going to put us in jail. We're going to meetings for some outside reason, and then all of a sudden it clicks over. And we're going to meetings because of an inside reason, because it feels good, because we feel better, because we want to go see those guys, because we're looking forward to this, or we're looking forward, and we become a part of something bigger than ourselves. So unity's the body, I bring it here. Recoveries of the mind, I work the 12 steps as outlined in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous in the company of my fellows, right? step 12 is the third side of the triangle. Service, unity, service, and recovery. Service is the final side. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of working these steps, that was the whole point. To be relieved of the obsession of the mind, to be restored to sanity. That was the whole point of this whole thing, working these steps. I've accomplished that. Having been relieved of that, I've been restored to sanity, sound of mind, relieved of the obsession of drink and use. I can practice these principles in all my affairs, right? What does that mean? I mean, get out of myself and be of service to other people. Be of service. Out of self-service, spirituality. Mind, body, spirit. Spirit, spirituality, service. Out of self, service. Out of self, more room for God. Out of self, more room for God. Out of self, I change. In self, I wither and die. Right? So I finish the steps. What's the first thing I do? I go back to meetings. What's the purpose of a meeting? The purpose of a meeting is to have a place where a newcomer can come and hear a message of hope and recovery. That's why we have meetings, for the new guys to have a place to come. So when they come, what should we do with them? Give freely what's been given to us. How you doing there, partner? You got a seat? You got a big book? Nope, let's get you a big book. You got a meeting directory? Nope, let's get you a meeting directory. Right? This is so-and-so. This is so-and-so. This is so-and-so. Watch out for that guy. Watch out for that guy. Right? You know, we got our opinions. We get into all that, right? You know, personalities before principles, right? Jesus Christ. But we try to help the guy out, right? Give me your number. I'll give you my number, but you'll never call me. Give me your number. I'll call you, and maybe we'll hook up at a meeting tomorrow night, and I'll introduce you to some guys. We'll hear a different speaker. Or, well, how do you feel about, going to a participation meeting? You don't have to participate, but you can sit and listen to a bunch of different people talk. You don't have to worry about talking. You don't have to worry, and don't worry about getting it right. This ain't about getting it right. This is just about getting it, right? It's about being with us. It's just about just settle into it. Just, give yourself a minute, We'll give you all the time you need. Just stay here with us. Just stay with us, man. Come on. We'll show you around. Got any questions? We'll do our best to answer them for you. All right? So we try to be a service to the alcoholic who still suffers. That's not just the newcomer, is it? I've talked to a few guys here that I know got double-digit sobriety. Weren't having a very good time, man. So we talked about it. Right? Everybody ends up in the barrel, right? I got 38 years, right? When I was 37, long ago, when I was 37 years sober, I've been 38 since November 6th, almost a month. I hit a patch where I knew I had to change things up, man. I needed to going to some different meetings, and I needed to start going for different reasons, you know what I mean? Not just to, punch my ticket, not to just book another meeting, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I got X number of meetings this week, I'm good. It's like, no, we're not punching a time clock here, man. I need to go where I can invest. I need to go where I am present, where I can participate, where I'm not just checking in to check in, And so I'm starting to make an adjustment and starting to go to some smaller meetings. I found a men's stag I like a lot that's real solution-oriented. I found another participation meeting that I like a lot. And some of these, like one of these is 45 minutes away, but I don't care. Like I can't drive 45 minutes to a meeting? Are you kidding me? Right? And my wife goes, that seems far. I said, it isn't. That ended that conversation. It isn't. Not for what I get from it. I got to be willing to, and I get to be the new guy in the room. I'm not the newcomer, but I'm the new guy in the room. And what these guys do is they want me, sober a long time. These guys, attitude at this men's stag is, hey, welcome, man. Give you a seat. Let's get you a cup of coffee. Let me introduce you to the fellas. You know what I mean? They instantly wanted to make me feel welcome. They wanted me to feel like I was a part of their men's group. Didn't matter how much time I had. A lot of groups you walk in, and how long are you sober? 38 years. Yeah, all right. Yeah, do what you do, Yeah, well, I don't do what I do by myself. I do it as one of many. I do it as a part of. You got any commitments available? You know what I mean? I'm a good chair putter away guy. Actually, my strength is assistant chair putter away guy. I don't actually put the chair on the rack. I hand the chair to the guy who puts it on the rack. I'm very good at that. You just put me right in the middle there. Get the chair from the guy, give it to the guy, puts it on the rack. I'm very good at that. I remember my home group in L.A., I was the assistant chair putter away guy for ever. And somebody walked up to me and said, don't you think you should give that to a newer guy, let somebody else have an opportunity to participate with the meeting? And I said, no. And then I said, but okay. Because I heard it come out of my mouth. I was just like, wow, that's not good. Right? Go sit down, right? And so, so I just helped. You know what I mean? I would go get chairs and hand them to the new kid who had my job. Right? Knowing full well that a new inventory was brewing with his name on it. There you go, you little bastard. Right? I'll be back with another one. Here you go, you little bastard. Why does he call me? Don't worry, he'll stop soon. Right? Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, right? So the 12th step is the thing that ties it all together for me. It's the thing that allows me that I was the guy who came to Alcoholics Anonymous and sat in the back, mad dogging everybody, and made it really hard for you guys to help me. It was very hard for me to accept your help. And you gave me just enough room, you played me just right, and you made it possible for me to keep coming back and to become one of you. But the deal is that if I stay, if I go to those regular meetings regularly, I get at that sponsor, I work the steps as outlined in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, the next thing that I do is I must now freely give what has freely been given to me. I no longer am coming to, why I come to meetings is now suddenly very different. Because the meeting is a place for a newcomer to come and hear a message of hope and recovery. And I'm not a newcomer anymore. I've worked the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the effect that has on an individual, it has had on me. So I don't come to meetings to take anymore. I come to give. So I go back to those very same meetings, not to sit there and say, okay, give me what I need, fill me up, fill me up. I go there scanning for that new guy. Where's the guy who's got absolutely nothing I want? Right? And for me, it's men sponsor men, women sponsor women. I've sponsored one woman in my time, and she was an intense lesbian, and so there was little risk of the intimacy of the sponsor relationship, getting off track there. You know what I mean? And she would have kicked my ass for sure. And we're good friends to this day, and she's moved on and got what I believe is a more appropriate sponsor, because the time came where she asked me the question. She goes, Earl, this is what's going on in my life. And I said, so would you like my experience on that as a woman? Because I ain't got any. And I said, you see, you got to go get a woman to talk to about this stuff, because I can't help. I can't be of service to you. I'm the wrong person for you in this area. And she said, all right, I see your point. Right? And she moved on. So men sponsor men, women sponsor women. It just works better that way. And I tell all the guys that I sponsor, I'll stick with you through thick and thin, relapse after relapse. I'm not here to judge people for relapse, and I'm not here to tell people that they've done something wrong if they relapse. That's not what I do, and I'm never going to do it. I think anybody that gives anybody any shit that comes back from a relapse, really ought to rethink that. We tell people to keep coming back. Why would we give them shit when they do? I don't get it. Like somehow I'm going to be the judge of that situation? I don't care if a guy goes out 30 times and comes back. I don't know what God's will is. I don't know what God's will is for me. How the hell am I going to know what God's will is for that guy? I do know what the program has taught me, and my elders taught me was, when a guy walks through that door, that I will extend the hand of AA. The rest of that stuff is just the rest of that stuff. How you doing, brother? Can I get you a seat, a cup of coffee? You got a big book? I got 12 of them. What do you say we dust one off and see what we can find, right? Well, I've been through the steps. I said, well, how about we start at step one? Well, why do you think we should start at step one? Didn't you just tell me that you just drank? Yeah? Well, that would suggest to me that we haven't quite got a hold of step one yet. So let's just go there. Right? Let's just start there. Well, if you want to start at 11, we can. But I'm going to whip right through 11 and 12 and get back to 1. I'll be back to 1 in 20 minutes anyway. So, just know there ain't no getting around it with me. Right? And I tell the guys that I sponsor, when you get through those 12 steps, you come back and you start sponsoring people immediately. Oh, I can't find anybody. Then you're not looking hard enough, because they're there. They're everywhere. They're coming in waves, right? Go to meetings. You'll find them in the meetings. You telling me that your meetings are filled with nothing but people who are comfortably sober and sponsored, well-sponsored? Great. I don't believe you, but fine. Here's a list of 16 treatment centers within 5 miles of your residence. Go knock on their doors and see if there's some guys there you can take out to a meeting. Preferably the real low-budget joints. The guys that have just gotten out of prison, the guys that are, coming in off the street, got the county-funded beds. Go get those guys, take them to meetings, and start sponsoring some of those guys. Help them out. Start from the ground up. I said, you got to understand, you're talking to a sponsor who got sober on a free cot. Right? Came back into the world with absolutely nothing. And Alcoholics Anonymous has been the only constant thread between that guy and the guy that stands before you today. So there's no excuses. Go get someone and sponsor them. Be of service to other alcoholics. Have commitment to me. Do the whole deal. Be the example. When you tell a guy that he's got to go get commitments, you best have some of your own while you're telling him that. Because if he's got anything going on at all, he's going to say, do you have any commitments? The answer better be, of course I do. That's why I'm suggesting. I want you to find what I have found here. So yeah, get commitments. You know, take out panels, do all that stuff. I've done all that stuff. I will continue to do that stuff. And I'll always sponsor guys. Always. As long as they keep asking. And when they stop asking, I'll start asking them. I'll just find new guys and do exactly what I'm talking about, because that's what works. The 12th step in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, the chapter is titled "Working with Others." Working with others. That's what we got to do. I can't be in this just for me. It doesn't work like that. It only works if I'm a part of this whole thing. If I got a handout here to this guy with less time and a handout here to this guy with more time, and I'm staying in the game. Now, interesting question was asked to me about that when this guy said, what about when you're getting up in time and there ain't a lot of guys around with more time? What do you do with that? And I said, well, then you end up with a sponsor who's got less time than you do. Nothing wrong with that. If you got a guy who's caught fire with Alcoholics Anonymous, has worked all 12 steps, is sponsoring guys, is in the game, going for it, all lit up with AA, why not check in with that guy on a regular basis? Why not? Right? Luckily, my sponsor's got more time than me right now, but he's 80 years old. I'm 66. You blink and, I'm going to be looking for a new sponsor, or he's going to be looking for a new guy to sponsor. One of us is going to go down here at some point, right? And we'll make the adjustment. That's what we'll do. We'll stay connected to the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous and engage in the tools that make being sober something worth fighting for. I'm not sober because I'm a joiner, because I thought this would be a pretty nifty club to join, so I gave up drinking to, be a part of this deal. I'm sober because if I'm not sober, I'm dead. My life has absolutely no value, no quality, no peace. I'm here for all the right reasons, right? And I want to, and I found all those things here, so I want to give those to the new man. So I would strongly suggest that when you get to the 12th, let's back up for 1 second. I think one of the most powerful things in the 12 steps and the least utilized things in the 12 steps is meditation. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve my conscious contact with God. Why do I pray? To quiet, I meditate to quiet the mind so that when the answers come, I can hear them. That's what meditation is for. I pray for knowledge of His will for me and the power to carry that out. That's what it says. That's why I pray. I pray for knowledge of His will for me and the power to carry that out. I meditate to quiet the mind so that when the answers come, I can hear them. That's meditation. Has changed my game. It's changed my game completely. When Donald Madden died, I called up one of his dear friends. Just another guy sitting at the same table. I didn't have a sponsor for 3 hours, and I could hear him in my head. You are not allowed to walk the earth unattended. And I was in his backyard watering his garden and crying and telling everybody they needed to get new sponsors, and then realized, oh, that's me too. So I called Al. I said, Al, Donald just passed away. And he said, I'm so sorry. I said, will you sponsor me? He said, of course. So I said, can I meet you tomorrow for lunch? And he said, yep. So I met him the next day. And I said, what do you want me to do? And he said, well, you do everything anybody, Christ, Donald sponsoring you do everything and then some that, He says, the one thing I would suggest, Earl, is that meditation. You're not big on meditation, and here's a name and a phone number, and I'd suggest you go call that number and do what that guy says and up your meditation game. He said, yes, sir, because that's what I've been taught to do. I called up my buddy Christopher, and I said, Christopher, we're both sponsored by Al now. And he goes, what the hell are you talking about? I said, if I'm going, you're going. We're both sponsored by Al. And he goes, okay. And I said, and we got to call this guy and go learn to meditate. He goes, seriously? I said, yeah, man. We're sticking together on this. We've been sponsored by him all this time. We're best friends. We got to go. We can't split up. We got to stick together, man. Buddy system right now, need it now more than ever. And he said, okay, don't sweat it. We're going, right? And we went to the Vipassana Institute for 6 weeks and were taught how to meditate. And I've been meditating ever since. And I was 13 years sober at the time, so 25 years ago. I've been meditating every day for 25 years. So was Christopher. And it changed my game. I'd be fair to say that it's had a greater effect on me than any other single thing that I do in recovery. Meditation. It is a powerful tool. And if you don't meditate, I would respectfully suggest that you learn. The simplest way is there's a Vietnamese monk by the name of Thich Nhat Hanh, and he wrote a book called The Miracle of Mindfulness. And it's a little book, and you read that book and you'll know how to meditate. You'll know you'll know exactly how to get between those. Or just call any I mean, we're in Oregon. There's got to be a meditation center every 50 feet around here. They're like Starbucks up here, aren't they? Find a meditation center and just walk in the door and say, I'd like a very simple, straightforward approach to meditation. Learn how to meditate. And make it a part of your daily practice. It's not about being good at it. It's about just doing it. Right? You think I was good at meditation with this brain? I thought I was going to be great at it. At first I thought, I'll just sit down and meditate, before we went to the Institute. I said, I got this. And I sat down in the lotus position, sort of. I am no longer capable of a lotus position, right? Flip a leg up over a leg, and, I need to be taken to the hospital. So, I got in a seated position, and I got very relaxed, you know what I mean? And the mantra was breathe in 1, breathe out 2, breathe in 3, breathe out 4. That's it. Very simple. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all you got to do, right? I got this. One, back's a little stiff today. One, that cook's kind of cute. One, I could really use another blanket. Oh, come on. And what I realized was this. You know how long it took me to get to 2? Longer than I'm willing to admit. And when I got to 2, it was like, I got to 2! 1. Right? It was slow, man. And again, I'll tell you why. Don't think you got to be good at it. That's not the point, man. It's not the nature of the mind to be quiet. It's not the nature of the body to be still. And when you meditate, you sit still and quiet the mind. You go in direct opposition to how you're wired. It ain't easy. It's simple, but it's hard. And then all it takes is you just sit down and do it for 10 minutes every morning, right? A lot of people think that this is meditation. Centered up. You just float right into centered, and there you are. All right? I'm locked in and grooving. Bullshit. This is meditation. And back. And back. And back. And back. That's meditation. That's acknowledging the frantic nature of the mind. The need to grab at things. to clutch things, to grab things. I have one guy I know I love the way he meditates. He meditates and he has a train in his mind. There's a train rolling by, boxcars on a train rolling by. And he'll sit and he'll meditate in his mind. He'll grab some thought, some heinous thing will enter his brain, and he'll just go, oh, whew, throw it in the boxcar. Just watch it ride away. And you get a pain in his back, and he'll take the pain and he'll into a boxcar and watch the pain ride away. And he just 5 or 10 minutes. Now he's it's just all about coming back. It's just coming back. And at the end of it, you think, wow, that was very unsuccessful. But I got to tell you, I'm feeling a lot smoother right now than I was when I started that, right? I'm feeling a lot calmer and a lot more centered, having just failed terribly at that meditation. That horribly unsuccessful meditation seemed to have worked quite well, right? That's meditation. So if you suck at it and it's helping, can you imagine if you stick with it long enough to be able to be in the middle of a day and do this? Just stop. And open your eyes and be coming from a different place. Drop your blood pressure 2-3 points just in one breath. To be able to do that, that's a nice buzz to have at your disposal. That's something to carry around in your back pocket, huh? Right? The ability to just smooth it out, to take that stress off, to just ease up. Having trouble sleeping at night? Meditate. Get in bed and meditate. Next thing you hear will be your alarm going off in the morning. Right? It just puts you out, right? But they used to tell us, it says, if you're having trouble sleeping, break out the big book. Start reading that big book. You'll go to sleep, right? That doesn't work for me anymore. I like it too much. I can read in that big book. 38 years later, I can still just read in there. I love it. I love everything it has to say. Because to me, it's life. It's life in a book. Right? A meaningful life, a productive life, a life of purpose and value, right there in a book. For me, an alcoholic of a hopeless variety, late-stage chronic alcoholic, living life, being happy, hanging out with a bunch of guys outside of Eugene, Oregon, somewhere deep in the woods outside of Eugene, Oregon. I'm hanging out with a bunch of guys, some of whom I recognize, right? Others I just met. Rum Runner Jesse over there, right? Dude can drive, man. Right? So that's 10, 11, and 12. It's me, God, and you, man. It's just, it's at 4 through 9, gets me going. 10, 11, and 12 keeps me in the game. Makes me realize that I've just scratched the surface when I go through the steps the first time. 10, 11, and 12 keep me, every day I go back and refer to where I'm at with my side of the street, with the power greater than myself, and with you. What is the nature and purpose of those relationships? Me, keep my side of the street clean and keep moving. Continue to seek God through prayer and meditation, right? And be a service to you. And that if I live my life based in that way, which is fundamentally different than anything that ever even occurred to me before I came here, if I can do that, I'll have a life beyond my wildest dreams. So if you're new and you're thinking this is just about not drinking, boy, buckle your seatbelt. You're in for an amazing ride, man. This Alcoholics Anonymous thing is real. Any questions? I mean, could there be any questions? Yes, there could. Is your wife in the program? My wife, yes. My wife is in the program. Yeah.
How many days does she have?
She has over 20 years. So a lot. Thanks. A lot of days. Sir.
I hear something about you making coffee, and it was some kind of an adventure when you were new in the program.
Yeah. You did. Yeah, you had to bring that up, right? I was pretty new. Like still crazy new. And Donald would take me to meetings. He didn't feel right just letting me loose on you. He felt like he had to keep me on a short leash. So I'd go to meetings with him right in the beginning. He said, we got to get you commitment. We're going down to this new meeting just start up called the Five and Dime. I said, what the hell's the Five and Dime? He said, well, the first speaker has a minimum of 5 years and the second speaker has a minimum of 10. I said, you got enough of those? to last a while? He goes, yes, Earl, we got enough of those. So we walk in the door, and the guy goes, Donald goes to this guy, and he goes, see this guy right here? This is your new coffee maker. And I just looked at him, I don't know how to make coffee. What the hell are you talking about? He goes, oh, yeah, he's your new coffee maker. And the guy goes, great. And this is back quite a ways, right? He goes, they had mugs. They had actual ceramic those big tan mugs, you know what I mean? Right? They made 550 cups of coffee every Friday night. And there were 500 cup pots, right? And all of the fixings and, ancillary materials and all that stuff in one 55 pot cup. And they just said, put all that in your car. It's like, Jesus Christ, right? I made 3 trips to my car, carrying all this stuff out to my car. And they said, all right, you need to be back here. We open up the room at 6 p.m. The meeting starts at 8. Coffee needs to be up and ready by 7:30 when people start showing up. So I got a checklist and everything. That was one of the worst weeks of my life, right? That I'm going to mess this up. I'm not going to do this right. I don't know how to do this. Nobody told me anything. So I go to the market, and I go to this lady at the market because I figure I can expose myself to the lady in the market, expose my inadequacies to her, not expose myself to the lady in the market. Right? And I just said, look, I have to make 550 cups of coffee at this thing next Friday night. Help. And she goes, okay, I got you. She goes, see these cans? You get one of these cans each, and you put these cans, one can in each of the 100-cup ones. And then I get you this special blend stuff. We'll get you a special blend, some real high-octane stuff for the 55-cup one. And he goes, and if you want to get a little fancy, we'll get you some cinnamon. And you just sprinkle some cinnamon in on top of the 100-cup pots, right? And it'll percolate, and they're not going to know why it's so good, but it's going to be great. And we'll help you with all. And I'm like, great. And I'm like, and I got a box. She gets me a box from the back of the market, and I got the creamers, and I got the swizzle sticks, and I got the water. I got the tea bags for the tea drinkers, and I got me, who I already resent, because I'm the coffee guy. Why am I making tea? It says coffee guy, right? So I got coffee, I got tea, I got swizzle sticks, I got cream, I got sugar, I got fake sugar, I got all this stuff in the box, and I go, and I'm out there at like 5:30 waiting, just like the guy on the corner, you know what I mean? I'm ready. Let's go. And the guy opens the door and he goes, you got to be careful in this room. If you put all the coffee pots on one side of the room, you'll blow the fuses, and we won't have any electricity for the meeting. I go, great. Now I could possibly destroy the entire meeting. Right? It's just getting worse and worse, and my blood pressure is just going up and up and up. So I got pots, and I'm filling them up, but I got them over there, and I got them over there, and I'm sprinkling this coffee, and I got the cinnamon, and I'm making the 55-gallon, and I'm setting up my coffee. I got my coffee table all set up, right? I mean, this thing is like military dialed in, right? I mean, there is a rhyme and a reason. Everything is where it is so that you can get your cup of coffee, go here and get your cream if you want it, go here and get your sugar. You just move right. It makes sense. There's no back and forth. There's no getting in anybody's way. And at the end of it is a trash can where your swizzle stick goes. I'm not it's all lined up. I will not be needed once the door's open. But now I've been drinking this coffee, testing the coffee from the 100 pots and the 55-gallon high-octane pot that's got like hair growing on it at this point, right? This stuff is up. And I'm drinking it. And by the time the meeting, 7:30, and they open the doors, I look like a parrot. Those parrots are just, I'm just jacked, right? But I step back, and the people come in, and they're talking, and they don't know. It's a coffee table, right? And I'm going, no, dude, that's a coffee table. Look, stop and appreciate. No, they want the coffee. They don't want to hear my story about how wonderful, all my trials and tribulations. So they start going, the first guy gets a cup of coffee, gets his cream, gets his sugar, stirs it, throws the swizzle stick on the table, and starts to walk away. Excuse me. Does that look like that's where that swizzle stick goes, dude? And he just looked, and I mean, You know, a lot of caffeine in me, right? And he went, I'm going to go with no. That's correct. Would you please deposit that in the trash can? Right? So now I decided it's apparently I need to be the guardian of the coffee table. So I just stood behind the coffee table, just, watching everybody. And people are like getting their coffee like, all right, okay. Till I get the tap on the shoulder, right? And the secretary goes, could you come with me, please? He comes in the back and he goes, Earl, you got to let it go, buddy. It's their coffee now. And I went, oh, all right. I'll go sit down then. Go, that's a good idea. You go sit down. So I went and sat with my back to the coffee pot. I just kept saying, don't turn around, don't turn around, don't turn around. Just let it happen. Just let it happen, right? And I made it. I was the coffee guy, the first ever 5 and dime coffee maker for the first year. I made the coffee every Friday night for the first year. And the people would come up to me and say, you make great coffee, man. What are you doing? And I just said, not telling. And I would go back to that same market and tell that lady, we were a hit. Let's make some more coffee. And she would get me all this stuff. And I had my friend at the market. And it was the best commitment ever. And I almost screwed it up 6 ways from Sunday. But you guys got a hold of me and made sure that I didn't. Right? They told me I had to put my phone number on the 55-gallon pot because people would drink that coffee and just be up all night. And they knew I was, so, there's Earl's number. Just call him. He's up. Talk to him about why am I up at 5:30 Saturday morning. That's the coffee story. I went my very first coffee commitment at the 5 and dime. That's it? What is it, man?
What's one of the most challenging things you've ever worked the steps around in sobriety?
The death of my sponsor. When I lost Donald. There was, I will admit that there was 60 seconds there where I was up for grabs. I felt like I was floating in the universe, that I didn't feel connected to anything. I went into shock, and thank God it was Christopher that called me and said, Hightower, we got to get a new sponsor. Donald just passed away. And I said, I'll meet you there. And I hung up, and I just stood there, and I didn't know. And I'm not that guy. I'm cool under pressure. But I just shut down. I did not know what to do. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know how to act. I was like losing it. I was losing it. And I don't know. It was just the Donald in me just said, one in front of the other, man. And so I got in the car and I drove there. And the minute I saw Christopher, I just started crying. And I was like Donald's boy. I was the heir apparent out of, this legion of people that he sponsored. I was his number one guy. And everybody knew it. You know what I mean? It was like everybody knew, Earl's Donald's boy. You know what I mean? Earl's the guy he's the one that speaks like Donald. He's the one that goes around and does all this stuff. He's the one that bit into this to the same degree that Donald. Like, they're the two worst drunks. They're the two that are in the deepest, And I had to go get some outside help. I fell into a depression that was pretty severe. I don't want to talk about outside issues, but, I felt like I was walking around underwater for about a year. And I was being sponsored, and I was going to a meeting every day, and I was staying close to you guys, and I was sharing honestly and appropriately, and I was getting out of myself and being a serviceman, but I was in deep grief. It's still hard for me to talk about. He's been gone 25 years. The man who saved my life was gone. The guy who still sponsors me was gone. I've had 2 sponsors since. Al for 6 years, and then Luther the rest of the way here. But he was the guy that made me believe that I could be a part of this, that I could, that I could do this. That this is where I belonged. So that was the most, working the steps around that, was really tough. Because what do I resent? Donald, why? Leaving me. What areas of my life are affected? All of them. What's my part in it? I don't know. I don't know. Did that help? No. Do it again. Do it again. Go get some outside help. And thank God that I had Christopher. You know what I mean? Who felt the same way about him I did. To this day, we'll tell stories, and to this day we talk about how lucky we were to have them at all. Everybody should feel that way about their sponsor. He was the one who gave me Alcoholics Anonymous. He was the only one I trusted. He said, go do this, and I would go do it. Go talk to him, and I'd go talk to him. Did everything that man told me to do for 14 years. Every day. And what I got was a life. A full one. So, that was the hardest. Are we going to end on that note?
Yeah.
That was a good note? All right, I love you guys. See you later. Hi, everybody. Earl Alcoholic. Yeah, well, that's good. I get it. It's a little light. The tip jar is a little light, man. So, so what the hell day is this now? What is this? Sunday. All right. Good. We've talked about the 12 steps, with the arc of the steps. And this morning I just wanted to talk a little bit about, all right, we've talked it. We've had a nice little chat about the 12 steps, right? We've, my position has been, step one, what's the problem? Lack of power is my dilemma. If that's my problem, what's my solution? Step two. And could I come to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, soundness of mind, relieve me of the obsession to drink? Make it as if it's a non-issue, right? Relieve me of it. Make it possible for me to walk the earth a free man, no longer enslaved by alcohol or drugs. Free. For the first time since I'm 12 years old. Is that possible? Because I have no personal experience with that being real. That's just something floating in the clouds to me, But when you reach a point of absolute desperation, hopelessness, it's like, you tell me to put a chicken head on and run around, buck naked, I'll give it a shot at this point, I'm out of ideas. So it says, all right, then get down on your knees and turn your will and your life over to the care of a God you may or may not understand, you may or may not believe in. Okay. On my knees, give what I got to give to that. Get back up on the couch. Immediately embark upon a plan of action. Just take a good hard look at where I stand in that moment. 4. Lay it all out. How free do you want to be, man? Get it out. 5, invite somebody into the house, and before God, read this to that individual. Just tell them. Right? Can't tell you how many times I've had guys in the middle of an inventory read something and then want to kind of explain it. Right? Say, look, I don't want you to get the, I shot this guy. Now, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. Here were the circumstances around him. It's like, I don't care about all that. Read what you wrote down. Read what you wrote. Read me that. Read it to me. Right? If I feel the need to stop and get it out. Get out what you wrote down. Just don't hedge your bet. All in, right? 6 and 7, hook it back up with God. Asking God to remove the defects of character. No more deal making. Right? No more deals. Just take what you think you need to take. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to be something other than what I am now. I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to stop defending the indefensible. 8 and 9, clean it back up with my community. Go back into my life and right the wrongs wherever I can. Don't complicate it. I mean, one of the best systems I ever saw was a guy came to me and he goes, "Is this okay?" I took my list of amends and I bought some 3x5 cards and I wrote each amends on a 3x5 card, and I had a stack of them, put a rubber band around them, and I put them in my desk. He said, and I'll wake up in the next morning and I'll pull the top one off and I'm on a mission. Now, I got to make this amends. And when I've made that amends, I get rid of it, and I go into the drawer, and I take the next card off the top, and I go after that. And until the stack is gone. It doesn't matter how much, just make a beginning. Just begin. Start making those amends. And as you get that roll going, it starts to feel good. You know what I mean? It's like, that. Wow. I'm actually doing something meaningful. You know, I actually paid a guy back. Never did that before. Paid that guy back. I paid the money I owed. I apologize for behavior, right? 10, 11, knowing that I've just hit the tip of the iceberg, I got 10, 11, and 12 to keep me in the game. There's 2 ways to stay in the steps, right? It keeps me in the game, me, God, and you. 10, me, 11, God, 12, you. Keeps me rolling in that on a daily basis. I continue to take personal inventory, and when wrong, promptly admit it. Promptly. That was that whole thing about stopping right in the middle of a lie and saying, well, time out. That was all crap. Let's start over again, right? And just clean it up, right? For my sake, right? So that I don't want to carry that weight anymore. I don't want to carry the weight of my wrongdoings. I don't want to carry, based on some false pride or some concern about your opinion of me. I want to be free. That's the whole point of this thing, right? Is to cut it loose. So I cut it loose. 11, I keep working on the God thing. Thanks. All right, that ain't my job. I'm letting that go. Sought through prayer and meditation. Had some great conversation with some guys last night about meditation, about different ways of getting into it, different experiences people have had, which just showed that there's a lot of ways to get busy with meditation. There's a lot of ways in. Find yours. Pick one. Jump in. Right? Try the method we talked about, not being good at it and doing it, right? That what is being good at it? What's being good at meditation, right? Is it that I sit still, close my eyes, and I just go blank? That I astrally project? No. That doctor says you got cancer. No worries. I'm a meditator. I'll just sit down and heal myself and move forward. That's not being good at meditation. Being good at meditation is being willing to sit down, be still, and make an earnest attempt to quiet the mind. And to fail at it. That's being good at meditation. I mean, is that you sit down, it becomes a practice. Your meditation practice, that you sit down every morning for a specific period of time. I mean, we're extreme people. I've run into guys who go, yeah, I got into the meditation thing, but I mean, it made it impossible for me to go to work. I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, I got up to 4 hours every morning. I was meditating. I was like, good for you, but once again, overshot the mark a little bit, I think. You might want to go back to that 20-minute deal, you know what I mean? So that you can actually create some balance in your life. We don't want you to just basically, what happened to him? Well, where's Ed? He died. What happened? Well, he just started meditating and didn't stop. He just starved to death sitting in one place. I was like, oh, great. Yeah, that quieted the mind down, didn't it? Moderation, it's a bad word around here, but you know what I mean? It's not a bad word to consider, moderation. And 12, completes the triangle for us, right? Having had a spiritual awakening. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result. That was the whole point of it. You practice these principles and carry the message, right? That it worked. I went through these steps to be relieved of the obsession of the mind. I worked the steps so that I could get comfortable sober. That's why I worked the steps. And in the process, I found out, for me, a low bottom, hopeless alcoholic, right? For me to get sober, I had to change my whole game. I had to change it all up. It wasn't just about getting to bed not drinking, right? And I love the one day at a time thing. I love it. I love that, everybody's sitting in here. Our goal is the same. We all get to bed sober tonight. We win. We live to fight another day. That's all any of us is, Bill Wilson said, obviously the goal is to die sober. You know what I mean? To finish the race on the right side of the line. You know what I mean? Clean and sober. That's the goal. But how you do that is getting to bed sober tonight. That's the action that I'm involved in. And I utilize the steps and the fellowship to achieve that goal. Right? That's it. I'm trying to not drink one day at a time. And I want to give myself the best possible chance of doing that. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I can get comfortable clean. I got to be able to get comfortable sober. That sober feels good, right? And that's what the steps provide me with. I mean, there was a guy in the dining room who said to me, "Hey, thanks for being there. It's just a good old-fashioned, right down the middle AA guy." And I thought, well, yeah, I mean, I grew up, I got sober at Long Beach General Hospital on an Army cot, but my sobriety was in L.A. I grew up in that's where I was born and raised, and that's where I spent the first, 35 years of my sobriety was in L.A. And a lot of people think, they got this kind of AA and that kind of AA, you know what I mean? There's got some specialty AA going on, you know what I mean? And everybody, we do it right. Those guys don't do it right, And, no, it ain't those guys. It's those guys over there, It's like, and I figure, well, you got a big book? Yeah. I said, well, then there you go. If it lines up with what's in there, I'm good with it. If it doesn't line up, like when you start saying, well, we're going to do the 4-step, and we got these forms that we fill out, and they fold this big thing out, and they got 164 questions that you answer, about, are you mad at your daddy? Are you this and that? It's like, excuse me, but I got to go. Good luck. God bless, man. I hope that works for you. But I'm going to go with the original 100. That's who I'm going with. I'm going to roll with the guys who got sober when it wasn't hip to be sober. It wasn't fashionable. Everybody talks about, there's a stigma. Oh, there's a stigma. So, what we deal with ain't shit compared to what those guys went through. They were social pariah. They were weak-willed. They were all, the shame that was heaped upon an alcoholic was unbelievable. Nobody knew it was a disease. If we ever had an AA saint, the first one would be, that little guy, right? That Dr. Silkworth, that guy up front, right, who risked his life, his career, banked it all on helping us. I mean, I don't get wowed by a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? I'm not, celebrities don't. He's like, yeah, you act. Calm down. I mean, I don't get all worked up about stuff like that. I mean, but there was one day I was standing out in front of my house, and this woman came up and she said, I'm leaving town, and I've been sober a while. I said, yeah. I'm sorry you're leaving. God bless. And she said, while I'm leaving, I was thinking of selling this. And I said, what is it? And it was a first edition big book. And you opened it up, and there was this stamp on the inside first page. And the stamp said, property at Towns Hospital. Right? Only place in the world where people go, ooh. Right? Like, that's cool, man. Right? Most people are like going, all right, so what the hell is that? What's Towns? Right? The beginning. That book was there. That book was handed to some guy who was getting sober, back in the 30s and 40s. Towns Hospital. Wild stuff, man. I mean, that's the stuff that I get goosebumps when I saw that. Man, I wish I was a richer man, where I could explain to my wife what I just spent to buy this stamped book, right? I don't know, but I mean, just to have that and hold that in my hand, I felt like I was holding on to a piece of history, certainly a piece of my history. That what those guys did when they did it to bring us what we have, that I don't want to ever take for granted, what those guys stood up against, those original 100, when those guys put those first meetings together, that when I remember I was 5 years sober and I was going to 7 to 9 meetings a week, talking to my sponsor every day, never turning down AA requests. Morgan, I mean, I was coming back. By 5, I was really coming back to life. You know what I mean? I was coming back into the world. I wasn't physically sick anymore. I was sick first couple of years I was sober. I mean, my body was just beat to hell. And I heard about this conference, a thing like this, right? It's called the South Bay Roundup. Down in Manhattan, Redondo Beach, California, right? And I called up Donald and said, that sounds kind of interesting, like a roundup. That sounds very Western. Might be some like sober cowboys or some shit down there, right? I'm gonna go check that out, right? And he goes, yeah, you wanna go? That'd be great. Click. Right. So I got my little car and I drove down there and I paid my registration and I walked in. And they said, look, the big meeting's on right now, so, you can go in, but be quiet. And I went, oh, great, man. I know how to do that now. I know how to actually be quiet. So I go in, and I slide in the back door, and I slide up against the back wall, and I look up, and it just pins me to the wall. There's 2,500 alcoholics sitting in one room listening to this old dog talk, right? And I had never seen that many of us before. I'd seen maybe 10% of that. It was the most alcoholics I'd ever seen in one place. It was like a sea of alcoholics, all sitting quietly listening to this one old duffer talk, right? And I'm thinking, who the hell is that guy? Seems they got a lot of people to pick from in here. There's 20, a lot of people to pick from, and they picked that guy. Why'd they pick that guy? Turns out that guy's name was Franklin W. Franklin Williams from Olive Branch, Mississippi. He was one of the first circuit speakers where that term got coined, where he would travel around and speak all over the place, trying to create some continuity in what was going on in the A&A all over the place, right? So we didn't break up into factions and all start, getting all tribal with our AA thing, you know what I mean? It was just keep it solid and keep it with the book. And I just stood back there and I'm like going, all right. And all of a sudden, I've been there maybe 5-10 minutes. And he looks up and he goes, look, I'll sum up Alcoholics Anonymous for you in 6 words. Trust God, clean house, help others. And I had a spiritual experience standing in the back of that room. It's like my head just popped. And I just started crying, standing in the back of the room. It was just like all these pieces. I've been going and listening like my life depended on it, because it did. Listening to everybody that got up at that podium, and I'd feel something that had to hear something that rang true, and I just grabbed that and put it in my pocket. I grabbed that, and I had all these little pieces of information and all these ideas and all this stuff, and I was in the book and I working steps and doing the, I'm just, putting chairs away and making coffee and cleaning up and just everything I can do. And it's not because I'm trying to win anything. I'm just trying to stay alive. Because I got no place else to go. I got to make this work. And I don't know where the line is. I don't know where the point is where you look up and go, okay, cool. I'm in. I'm solid. I'm safe. I don't know what that spot is. I don't know, when I'm out of danger. Because I'm still, I got some outside issues. I got some serious PTSD popping on me, So I'm feeling at risk and in danger, 6 times a day, right? Where the adrenaline starts firing and I got to pull the car over because, my hands are, I'm a mess still. I'm 5 years sober, but I'm a mess. But I'm just in this thing, man. I'm just banging away at this thing. And this guy gets up and says 6 words. And it was like everything about me just went, oh, I get it. It all made sense. All the pieces just slotted into place. Everything made sense. Trust God, clean house, help others. Trust God. I don't have to believe in God. I don't have to have faith in God. I have to trust. I have to make a conscious decision to trust that there is something out there bigger than me, more powerful than me, that I'm not the one in charge, and that I can turn my will and my life over to the care of that, which I did. The reason I say it that way is that if you have a profound faith, outstanding, bring it. You'll find no conflict here. There's no we're not dogma heavy on the A&A side of things, whatever religious faith you have and whatever the tenets of that faith are, just bring it on in. You will find no conflict between that and Alcoholics Anonymous. If you question the notion of God, you're agnostic, you're not sure, don't sweat it. Come on in, have a seat. You by no stretch of the imagination are you not welcome. We even have a chapter in our book, We Agnostics, right? I was living with this girl one time, briefly. And she came up and she said, where's step 3 in the book? I said, I'm not telling you where step 3 in the book is. I'm not going to rob you of your own process of discovery. Just open up the damn book and read it. When 2's finished, you'll spot 3. And she looked at me and she said, I know where it is. I said, really, where? And she goes, it's in that chapter, We Antagonists. I said, you know what, that's probably not a bad chapter for us, but that ain't it, honey. But you go on and figure it out. We antagonists. What the hell was I talking about? I don't. But that trust God, and if you're a non-believer, you're an atheist. Fine. I'm a woman I knew, wonderful woman in the program in LA. She died of cancer with 22, 23 years sober. Just a devout atheist. Wasn't having it. And I said, you got to come up with something. You got to come up with something. So she's, well, oh, you're right. She goes, fine, Neil Young. She goes, what do you mean Neil Young? Neil Young is my higher power. I said, okay, we'll just stop bothering you about this. And this. So she had a pin of Neil Young, and she would just walk around with that pin on. And she'd go, that's it, it's fine. And she had a little bit of this in her, you know what I mean? She just a little contrary. But I'll tell you what, when she died, her memorial service was a sight to see, man. The number of women in that room whose lives had been impacted by Gloria's life, that she had stopped and been of service to and cared for. I mean, from bankers to bank robbers, man. These chicks it was a wide range of women in there. And this one guy got up at the end of of the memorial and said, isn't it interesting that, she carried on about being an atheist, but have you ever seen a life that was more devoted to service to others? And that's a pretty spiritual life, the way she functioned, the way she operated. So we're all welcome, from the atheist to the true believer. Everybody gets to come in. We trust God, right? And then we clean house. That's my relationship with self. I got to stop worrying about what you're doing and not doing. You getting it right, not getting it right. Not my business. I need to start concentrating and focusing on what am I bringing to the table? What am I bringing to the game? What do I have to offer here? What am I an example of? Am I an example of love and tolerance toward others? Because, if you read close enough, it says right there in that book that love and tolerance toward others is our code. Not just love and tolerance toward others. That's what we stand for. That's what we're about. And finding our way to that. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't come in here particularly tolerant or loving in my demeanor or my thoughts. So, thought, action, deed, not loving, not tolerant of myself or you. I hated myself. And when you walk around filled with that self-hate, what are you going to give somebody who walks up and starts to engage you? It's not going to be pretty. Right? And that's what it was like. I mean, I just wasn't worth talking to, in my opinion, which is how I liked it, because I didn't want to talk to you. So I made it an unpleasant experience for you should you make the mistake of thinking talking to me would be a nice idea, right? And you tolerated that until you took the power out of it, which was an amazing thing to do for somebody like me. It's a tremendous gift. Just giving me the room to be an idiot for as long as I needed to be an idiot, and then come on in and sit down. We'll try to figure out something else for you to be besides an idiot. Right? So checking my side of the street, right? Step 10 is there for me to do that on a daily basis. My sponsor is there for me to do that on an hourly basis. Correct course, redirect course, right? I was talking to a guy, he gave me the name and number of a tattoo artist here in Oregon. I said, I'm getting a compass tattooed right there on the back of my hand right there. I got no tattoos. I'm getting a tattoo. I'm going to get a compass right there, just so I can look at it and remind me which way you headed, man. You moving in the right direction? And one guy looked at me and he said, but it won't work. We're north. Right? That is not the point. I got one of those in my phone, an actual compass. This is a reminder compass, right? For me. So I'm going to get it despite what that guy said. The compass put around there. So trust God, clean house, and third thing is help others. It doesn't say help this specific group, help alcoholics. It doesn't say help the mentally impaired. It doesn't say help everybody but these guys over here. We don't like these guys. Right? It says help others. There's no separating anybody out. We're all in it together. Help others. So what does that mean? Does that mean that I come into AA and I help out my AA brothers and sisters? Of course it means that. It also means, for me, I see somebody that's actually even older than I am in a market, some little lady trying to reach up and get a can, and she's having trouble getting to it. I go over with, my lanky, 5'7", and reach up and grab a can for her and say, there you go. And she says, thank you. You're welcome, man. I walk away feeling a little bit better about things because I stopped for a minute and considered somebody else. So help others is just walking through life. How can I be of service? How can I help? Last weekend, last Monday, I was in L.A. at a benefit, and I was introducing the lady who ran the thing. And so I flew in and we did this event. And this is a woman that I met when she first got out of treatment. And she was nuts, man. I mean, this lady could not sit still. Couldn't do it. We sit in a group of us sitting there talking or being in a meeting or something in somebody's house, and she'd be over there on the pillows, sitting there doing crunches, during the meeting. Right? She just, Mary, just, oh, right, She just couldn't. She couldn't stop, man. She just couldn't sit still. She was just wound up. And that woman called me for just day after day after day after day, forever. What am I going to do with my life? What's my life going to be about? I need my life to be about something. I don't know what to do. And just crazy about what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I don't even know I'm here. What am I doing? What am I supposed to do? And it's driving me nuts. Like, I don't know. How the hell am I supposed to know? Just keep moving. Keep it. Chop the wood. Carry the water. Stay in the game. It will present itself. Your job is to be available when the information comes. We live in a constant state of preparedness so that when it hits, we're ready. Right? A few years later, she knocks on the door, walks in and goes, I got it. I go, what is it? She hands me a candy bar. I go, all right, thanks. What am I looking? She goes, look at the wrapper. I look at the wrapper, and there's this image on the wrapper, and it says Omnipeace. And it's a picture of Africa. Omnipeace. She goes, I'm going to build schools for kids in Africa. I said, great. It's always good to start small, Work your way into something, right? Well, we did this benefit last